Feeling like a shark in a shrimp tank. Big fish, small pond in the shrimp tank.
Welcome back to another episode of the Shrimp Tank. We come to you virtually from Seattle and the entire PNW, the Pacific Northwest, which today is a little cold and rainy. Go figure, end of January. Listen, if you want to learn how to start, grow, or run a successful business, you are in the right place. This is where we say street smarts and book smarts collide. Hello again, everyone. I'm Dan Weedin, and I'm joined by my co-host, the incomparable and jet-setting Michelle Baumberger. Our guest today is Ben Wicks. Ben Wicks has been serving families in wealth management since 1999. His expertise is in serving executives, families with multi-generational wealth, and closely held family-owned business owners. Ben excels at helping families take a complex financial puzzle and create a clear and concrete roadmap and game plan. Ben helps clients punch financial fear in the face and transform confusion to confidence and courage. I can't wait to learn more about what Ben's doing. Ben lives in Bothell with his wife, Angie, and their 3 kids. And in addition to being involved with his kids in school and sports, Ben is a member of the Bellevue Lunch Rotary Club and the Legacy Council for Seattle Children's Hospital. Ben, it's great to have you. Welcome. We will be right with you. Everyone, you can find us wherever you get your podcasts. We are on iHeartRadio. In fact, we're the #3 entrepreneur podcast on iHeart. We're on Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, Spotify, SoundCloud, Stitcher, Overcast, and YouTube. You might say we are ubiquitous. Now, before we bring on Ben, hello there, Michelle.
Hey, Dan, how are you?
Good. Do you have any? I know you've been traveling out of the country. Do you have any jet lag right now? Are we good? Do you need some coffee or anything?
I'm good. It reminded me of when you can tell I'm slow today, right? When I'm doing all-nighter in college, the next day was fine, but the day after just like kicked my butt. And so I'm kind of in that phase right now.
Well, I can tell you really quickly, when we went to Iceland, that happened to us. I slept great the first night. The one after that was like, oh, this is terrible. So I get that. You know, Michelle, it sounds like, I was going to say it sounds like a piece of a puzzle, but I'm going to share my favorite puzzle. Do you play Wordle?
I don't, but I have family members who do.
So I got hooked on Wordle. I think it was one of my daughters who got me into it. And we as a family, Barb, both daughters, both of their life partners, significant other, we all are on one text thread. And my whole thing isn't just about how quickly, in fact, I don't really care how quickly I get it. I'm on a streak. I'm on 148 days in a row. And so now all I care about is a streak. And in fact, today, what made me think of it is I got to 5 out of 6, try 5, and I was worried. I was starting to sweat a little bit, but it came to me like it has the last 148 days, and I got it. And I've come to the conclusion that if you get it in 1 or 2, Michelle, it's just luck. But you start getting into 3, 4, and 5, that takes some skill. You got to put this puzzle together. So there's got to be something that when you're sitting on the airplane and you don't want to talk to your husband, are there games you like to play?
I read a book.
You read a book. Okay. Hey.
If I'm on a plane, I probably read a book. I do the New York Times crossword.
Okay.
And I do the spelling bee. I actually really like the spelling bee game. Have you seen that one?
No.
So it's like a honeycomb, and in the middle there's a letter, and so you have to do you got to get to a certain number of points by making words of at least 4 letters all the way up. Those are fun.
Okay. Well, I'm going to have to learn about that one. The New York Times crossword. I don't know if I'm smart enough for that one. I know
Monday and Tuesday. Stick with Monday and Tuesday.
Stick with my. Okay, I will do that. Oh, well, enough of this. You know, speaking of puzzles, in the bio, you heard me talk about our guest, Ben Wicks, who takes these complex financial puzzles for people who have multi-generational wealth and they're business owners and all of that, and he puts it all together. First of all, Ben, welcome. You and I have spoken in the past, but we've never actually looked at each other. It was the old school phone. It's great to see you in person. Talk about financial puzzles that you help solve for your clients?
Well, thanks, Dan. Thanks, Michelle. It's great to be on the Shrimp Tank. And before I answer that question, Dan, first of all, you look good. Talking to you on the phone, I mean, you really do. You look good. The Wordle, I have to say, my family just started that same kind of text string. I think it was over the holidays. And so I'm new to the Wordle, but it's fun to kind of share with the family each day how you're doing on that day's puzzle. But to answer your question, yeah, the puzzle, we work with high performing families, and we find a lot of families are building wealth, and they've got, they're doing things and they think they're doing things the right way, and they have assets here or a business here, but a lot of times they just don't know how it fits together or how it fits together well. And interestingly enough, this puzzle analogy, there's a lot of ways it could fit together. You can put the puzzle pieces together in different ways to create a different picture of what you're really trying to accomplish. And so, what we do is really spend a lot of time talking with clients. What is the picture of your life that you want this to look like? And then we can design how all the puzzle pieces fit together in the best way.
Well, I've seen you kind of grow in your career, and it's been such a joy to be your friend and colleague through that time. And when you found Highland, things sort of shifted. And I'm wondering if you can share a bit about what's different there for you, what you found there, and kind of how that translates into this puzzle solving environment that you talked about.
Yeah, Michelle, we've known each other a long time, and we have been through some journeys together. And a little over 7 years ago is when I took a bit of a pause in my career and really stepped back to think about what did I want my life to look like? What did I want my career to look like? Did I want to start my own business? Did I want to join up with someone else? And it was really that experience of going through that myself, spending time with Angie, really reflecting on these things, and then getting to know my now business partner and founder and CEO of Highland, John Christensen, and these conversations. We talk about this notion of living fully, and investing in life fully lived. And that just resonated with me so much. I've always wanted to live a life of adventure, leave a big mark, leave a big impact. And so in getting to know John and Highland, that heart of helping clients connect money to a life of meaning and purpose just resonated so much with me, because that's what I was looking for myself. And so that's really what we're building at Highland is around that concept of maximizing returns, not just on money, but also on life. And that's kind of my own heartbeat. And that's what led me to where I am and what we're building here.
That's a great story. I love that you did your own introspection and led you to this. I think that's going to be helpful with your clients. I work with a lot and have over 30 years family businesses. And so when you're talking about multi-generational wealth and multi-generational family businesses, when you're talking about what you do, the thought came to my mind that there's got to be a lot of family businesses that get started, they get going, they get moving, they bring people in, the kids are joining it. All of a sudden, they don't even realize that the puzzle is all askew, that all of a sudden it's like, what do we have going on, and do we have money, and how much money do we have, and what are we doing? Is that a fair representation of sometimes where these family businesses that just kind of get going and they're focused on growth and all of that, all of a sudden get confused?
Yeah, it's why I love serving family businesses and privately held businesses, because if you want to talk about a puzzle, that puzzle is like a 3D puzzle. It's even more complex because you've got family relationships and history. And we talk a lot at Highland about this idea of money history. How did you grow up with money? Money is so deeply personal that how you grew up with money, what your parents taught you or didn't teach you about money, your own just kind of personal makeup, it leaves an imprint on you and how you think about money in life and career. And then especially if you get married or in a relationship and you join up with someone else that has their own money history and you're just supposed to kind of theme it together, it's no wonder that there can sometimes be some challenges or complexity there. Then you layer on a business and all the additional history and complexity that comes with that. And it just becomes infinitely more complex. And so helping family businesses figure out what, the picture they're trying to build, the story they want to tell, and connect those things together is just a big passion of mine.
Yeah, another area that, Dan mentioned this at the beginning is just sort of you have other connections in your life that are kind of related to giving. And I know one of the ones that you're most passionate about is Seattle Children's. Can you talk a little bit about that and how you got involved and what that means to you?
Yeah. Anytime there's personal experiences, it just takes on more meaning. And about 9 years ago, our youngest daughter had misdiagnosed appendicitis, and we had gone through several weeks of her being sick, and God bless my wife Angie, she just kept pressing on this and knew something wasn't quite right. And eventually, after another trip to the pediatrician, we're rushed to the emergency room, emergency surgery. Her appendix had actually ruptured some time before. So she was tipping over into septic, and that experience of her being wheeled off for emergency surgery, that is pretty deep stuff. And it was a wonderful experience. They saved her life. We spent some time there. There are families that spend much more time there than we did, but it left a mark on me. And, you saved my daughter's life, and I'm going to ask the question, what can I do back for you? And learned at Seattle Children's, there are many ways to give back. And the one I'm really involved in is a group called the Legacy Advisors Group. And that is a network of professional service advisors, CPAs, attorneys, wealth managers, insurance, real estate, that all come together to use their own expertise and experience to help the families of Seattle Children's, whether it be estate bequests that are coming in and the hospital needs help with, or clients that are trying to figure out how do we use philanthropy and use creative gift and estate and tax planning to benefit Seattle Children's and the families that are served there. So that's an example of, for me, and I think for our clients, as much as we can intersect these things, business and life and community, into interconnected, that's where the good stuff happens, and in my experience. And so, yeah, Seattle Children's is near and dear to my heart for sure.
I have a similar experience at Seattle Children's, and my daughter had a trampoline accident that I ended up in multiple hours of surgery trying to remove the trampoline fibers from her arm. But the care of the team there, the dedication of the team there. The next day was her last day of school at the school that she was going to at the time, and she really wanted to go. And they gave her a day pass the day after this massive surgery to go so that she could do that. And the nurses were like, I don't think I've ever seen that happen before, but this care of the person, again, it very much aligns with what you had shared about your experience. And I can completely relate to how grateful I am to have that team here in Seattle, and the culture and the mission that they have. So it's really a fantastic organization. I love the fact you're bringing together people for different purposes to support them. So
there's one other aspect I'll share on that too. One of the beautiful things about Seattle Children's is not only the care and the research that they're doing that are saving lives, but a key component of who they are is providing that care regardless of a family's ability to pay. And so, if you're in the hospital in either of our experiences, you shouldn't be wondering, oh my goodness, what is this bill going to be and how am I going to handle that? So their uncompensated care program is huge. And that leads even back to this legacy group and our clients. There's a notion to whom much is given, much is required. And so for families that have the capacity to invest in the uncompensated care program or the research so that families can have that world-class care regardless of their ability to pay is just another cool part of being able to give back on that.
Well, Ben, thank you for sharing all of that. In fact, I had a flashback because I had my own undiagnosed or misdiagnosed appendicitis. Mine did not rupture. Luckily, I went to the hospital in time, but I had this my own personal flashback, and I'm so glad that your daughter is doing well. Well, we're going to take a short break to hear from today's Spotlight sponsors. And when we come back with our guest, Ben Wicks, for our Hot or Not section of the show, we're going to see what Ben thinks about financially planning for getting older. Don't walk away. We'll be right back with more of the Shrimp Tank.
At Equinox, we believe in the power of law to give business leaders the freedom and confidence to go boldly into the unknown. Entrepreneurs don't trust that lawyers can be affordable, accessible, or offer a strategic advantage. Law feels like a complicated cost that only the megacorps can afford, so they often go at it alone. We imagine a world where entrepreneurs have the same strategic advantage of law as the megacorps. Equinox makes it possible for all business leaders to have a general counsel on their team to support both strategic and tactical legal needs, knowing where you've been and where you're going, and guiding you on how best to achieve your goals, while protecting what you've built, with an all-inclusive, fixed-price legal solution tailored to your business. There's no more worry about how much legal will cost or if you'll even get a response. Instead, you have a relationship with your legal team, access to legal support whenever you need it, and the freedom and confidence to take your business boldly forward. Our relationship starts with a complimentary business health assessment. Complete the 5-minute survey at equinox.law. And you'll immediately get a 30-page report to help you and your team prioritize the legal infrastructure you need to move your business forward. Plus a complimentary consultation with our corporate counsel to walk through the report together and understand what your business needs now and for its future. Now's the time to invest in your business and go boldly forward with legal on your team. Equinox Business Law Group, strategic legal counsel for all.
Hey everyone, welcome back to the Shrimp Tank, where we interview the best and brightest CEOs and business thought leaders in the greater Puget Sound area and beyond. I'm Michelle Bomberger here with our guest, Ben Wicks, and we're going to kick off Hot or Not next.
So Ben, Hot or Not, I think you've listened to a few shows. Hot or Not is where Michelle and I are going to pepper you with questions about business, about life, about Bothell. Who knows? We're gonna give you a bunch of questions. You're going to tell us whether it's hot or not, and then why or why not. When you and I had spoken before, we have a mutual client, and we talked about things related to life insurance, disability insurance, long-term care insurance, those types of things. I'm thinking this is I'm giving you an easy one out of the gate, but hot or not, planning financially to live a long, long time into old age.
Well, I would have to say hot. I mean, that's a core part of what we do. And helping clients, have a confident plan for their future and protecting their future. And so at a firm like ours, where we're helping look at all the different pieces and work with professionals like both you, Dan, and Michelle, all of those pieces are super important to clients knowing that they're heading in the right direction.
So hot or not, core values for business.
I love this, Michelle. Very hot. We just had the great honor of being one of the top places to work by Seattle Business Magazine. And I think a lot of that award has come from what we call the Heart of Highland, which is a little bit of a different set of value statements than just some value words, but actual behaviors that exhibit the Heart of Highland. Things like love each other, which sounds a little weird for a business, but there's behaviors around that. How do we actually care and love for each other, fiercely protect the team, raising the bar, all those things I think have created a culture and values, like you're saying, that not only make an organization like Highland a great place to work, but thrive, really.
All right, hot or not, and again, I'm being easy on you today, Ben. I know, but hot or not, living from and living in and being from Bothell.
Oh yeah, you're just hitting all my love languages here, Dan. We've
And
raised our
by the way,
family.
tell us about all the fun things, because I know you are deeply invested in Bothell. Why Bothell? Why do you love it so much? And what are some of the things you're doing there?
Yeah. We moved to Bothell in 2006 and have essentially raised our family there. Amidst all the suburban sprawl in the Pacific Northwest, to me, Bothell feels like a small town amidst all of that. And so, the sports, Friday Night Lights down at Pop Keeney Stadium in downtown Bothell is a thing. It's a community thing, not just if your kids go there. If you have not been to downtown Bothell and seen some of the revitalization that has happened over the past decade, and the fantastic locally owned restaurants and pubs and cocktail bars, we don't have to leave downtown Bothell, and it's just a wonderful community of family businesses and places that you just want to be part of. So we love it.
I love that too. I love that there's a community there that is so strong. It's visible and palpable when you go into downtown Bothell. So
it really is. We have our family is, so our kids, we have a 24-year-old, 22-year-old, and a 13-year-old. So our caboose, Lily, we call her. We're getting the chance to have a whole new set of parents and families and friends with her coming up that we get to be a part of, and her having some of the same teachers that our older two, Sam and Katie, had over the years in the Bothell North Shore School District has just been really fun.
So hot or not, father-daughter date nights?
Are all of these going to be hot? Do people say not? I don't know. I will tell you. So Sam is my son. He's our oldest, and we have so much fun together, golfing and skiing and sports and all of that. I grew up with two brothers, so there were three boys. I never quite knew what being a dad of daughters could really be like, and I really enjoy it. So father-daughter date nights are really important. My youngest, Lily, I've got her now up skiing, so the two of us, it's getting in the car and heading up and having time in the car, talking or listening to music, and then ripping around on the slopes and little après ski. It's the good stuff. So I love being a dad of daughters.
Well, as a father of two daughters and a grandfather of three girls, only one boy, I tell you, being a girl dad is great. So I'm not going to ask hot or not. This is kind of on the not. I want you to kind of solve something.
Yeah.
What, in your experience, is the biggest mistake that family businesses who are accumulating wealth, multi-generational wealth, what is the biggest mistake they're making that they don't even know that they're making when it comes to their financial future?
Yeah. That'll be hard to boil it down to one, but I think for most businesses, whether it's family businesses or just privately held, most business owners start a business to build income, to build a future for their family, to deliver a service or a product that they believe in. And then successful businesses, I think, just often it can run away from you a bit, and it becomes something that you are working in so hard, and you carry the responsibility and the weight of your employees or your family and the community and your customers. And I just find so often that business owners are just not quite thinking about the future for their family as it relates to the business. They might be thinking about strategic planning, growth, strategies, all those things which are super important, but a little bit of this invincibility complex of, I got plenty of time to figure out the other stuff. And I've just seen that factor create challenges. And it's the business owners who have an idea of what they're trying to do, and working with Michelle or me or you, Dan, of thinking about what is that roadmap and how do we game plan that? And what do you need out of the business? What do you want out of the business? How do we then build a game plan for that? How do you utilize estate planning strategies and other pretty cool tax strategies to take advantage of some of the planning opportunities? I think the biggest mistake, boiling it down, is just not planning on how the business actually connects to your financial future. For most business owners, that's the one big asset, the one big stock in the portfolio, which is how you build wealth for many families. So that's not a bad thing. It can be a really good thing. But having a plan to, just as in any kind of prudent financial plan or investment process, to diversify over time, and to have context for how much you need to diversify or not, and understand the bets you're making, is something that I think most business owners don't know how to think about, are afraid to think about, and just kind of keep moving forward.
Yeah, and I think along those lines, I wanted to follow up when you talked about kind of the weight of the business as part of their life. There's another kind of piece of this for the sandwich generation around kind of managing, how to get your kids, grown through college, and as parents are aging as well. Yeah. Do you have any kind of thoughts on, folks who might be navigating that from a financial standpoint, and, kind of the big question mark on how do I do this?
Yeah. No, we have a lot of clients who are in that spot right now, aging parents, and how do you, it's an speaking of puzzles, that's an overwhelming puzzle too, of not only what do the parents want or need, and then how do you find that? How do you pay for it? So helping our clients think about that stuff. And then the younger generation, I don't have a client who is a parent who doesn't think about, how do I best help my kids? How do I set them up for success? How much is too much to help them financially or otherwise? How do I do it in a smart way where I don't screw them up? All of those things are, I would say, weights is a good word, Michelle, that amidst everything else that's going on, it's these factors. And as advisors, there are things we can help and solve, and things we can't fix. So our job as advisors and coaches and confidants is to help navigate those things and the emotional parts of that, and then bring to bear the technical strategies and resources to address them. But yeah, life and how all those things happen is pretty interesting and challenging.
Well, what's not challenging is how we have to pay the bills. So we know that. And so we're going to take our second short break to hear from our sponsors. And when we come back with our guest, Ben Wicks, for our famous Plead the Fifth section of the show, we're going to find out a little bit about his hobbies. Don't walk away. We'll be right back with more of the Shrimp Tank. And Plead the Fifth is brought to you by our corporate sponsors, Ideal Life 360, Cornerstone Financial, First Underwriters Insurance, BC Fitness Studio, and Port Ludlow Resort. Please visit our website at shrimptankpodcast.com/Seattle to learn more about these terrific companies. Now back to the show.
Welcome back to the Shrimp Tank. where we interview the best and brightest CEOs and business thought leaders in the greater Puget Sound area and beyond. I'm Michelle Bomberger here with Dan Weedin and our guest, Ben Wicks from Highland Wealth. Our next segment is Plead the Fifth.
So Ben, you might think with Michelle being an attorney that plead the fifth, she'd be on your side. She's on the other side. You're getting grilled by her. So you might have to plead the fifth, but if you do, you can only do it once. So we'll see what happens. We're leading off with me. All right, you can't do what you're doing anymore. I'm taking you out of that. I know you love it, but I'm going to tell you, Ben, you got to start a brand new business based on a hobby. What is the hobby? What's the business?
That's a great question. The hobbies that I love, woodworking is, I love to make sawdust, build furniture for my wife, loves interior design. So she's usually kind of saying, hey, can you build this? Can you build this? And I love figuring that out. I've done that as a side hustle before and realized that turning some hobbies into businesses, you lose the joy in it. So I don't know if that would be it. I think if I took a hobby and did something with it, it would probably be something with the outdoors. Have done that kind of with some philanthropic efforts before, climbing mountains to raise money to help rescue women and children out of human trafficking, and bringing people into that mountain experience and a cause is really huge. So maybe I become a mountain guide or something like that, and make a new career that way.
Yeah, there's a thing called the second mountain that you're sort of your second career, and maybe you'll do that in part two. Plead the fifth. What book has been most impactful in the last 10 years of your life?
I would say, so I am, as the younger generation says, I tend to have FOMO. I like saying yes to things. I like being a part of things. I tend to pile too much onto my plate. There's a book that came out some years ago called Essentialism. And that is probably one of the most impactful books for me, of really thinking about how do I focus on the most important things. And that's a daily battle for me still. But I would recommend that book to anyone.
So Ben, this might be the toughest question we've thrown at you for Plead the Fifth. You mentioned your business partner, who, by the way, tell us a little, because he does a podcast and a blog as well. So I want you to bring that up. But you mentioned your business partner. Your business partner was sitting here right next to you, and we asked him, what could Ben most improve upon in business? Where could Ben be better? What would he say?
Yeah. Wow, Dan. No, it's interesting. I think both John and there's some other partners here at the firm, we're building something pretty special together, which is something else I always wanted. But it would probably be tied to what I just mentioned, is how can Ben not do so much and focus on being even better at the things that are going to move the needle the most. I would say most people who know me, whether it's business partners or other friends, that could potentially be a common theme.
And talk about really quickly the blog and the podcast.
Yeah, if you go to highlandprivate.com, there's a section called Living Fully, and there's blog posts, and John's got just a fantastic podcast, and has written a book as well called The Wealth Creator's Playbook, How to Maximize Your Return on Money in Life. And it's all of those things are really pointed to the intersection of money and life. Because there's a lot of people who are really successful at money or business, and their life is getting a D grade or worse. And so our mission is to make sure that if someone's successful financially and with business, and we help people do that very well, but it should be pointing towards this idea of a life fully lived. And so the podcast and the blogs are all, and everything we're doing serving clients are all around that theme.
So curious, you're a conversationalist, you're a networker, you're out in the world a lot. You are invited to a dinner party, you don't really know anyone there, you're seated next to someone you've never met before. What do you use to start a genuine conversation?
That's an interesting question, because I don't know that I have. It's funny, Michelle. Yes, I think more and more over my life and career too. I just really love meeting people. I used to get pretty nervous going to a networking event. I mean, if you put me in a room or an event or something, I cannot wait to just get in there and meet some new friends. And again, my wife indulges me on this. She's pretty good at it too, but I don't have a single question that I ask. I do. It's probably why I think being an advisor has just been a great fit for me, because I like people. I like helping them, and I like connecting with them and understanding and learning about them. So I tend to be curious too. It wouldn't be one question. It would be just fascinated about learning about people's lives.
To follow up on that, I wanted to, you just reminded me about the conversation we had around how you all are talking to your team about coaching. Can you share a little about kind of what that looks like, what that means, and why it's important in the work that your team does?
Yeah. We think when you look at AI, when you look at technology, we think the advisor of the future is not just going to need to be good and proficient at financial planning and investment management and tax planning. But we think the advisor of the future is going to need to be really skilled and trained at that connection of money and life, and even now. And so we developed a coaching program. We call it a wealth confidant, because I mentioned earlier that money is so deeply personal. And when you're really going deep with people on their dreams and the picture they want this puzzle to look like, it inevitably leads into some pretty personal stuff that I think a lot of advisors just don't feel comfortable going. And so we developed a coaching training program, and we call it the Wealth Confidant. And all of our team is trained, and it helps us be skilled and confident to engage at that intersection of money and life. And so that's been a key, I think, differentiator of Highland. And I think that's what the advisor of the future is going to look like. So not only are we doing this for Highland, we actually have a vision. We want to help train our industry. This isn't something we want to just keep with Highland. We think if we want to help as many families as possible connect their money to a life of meaning and purpose, that's going to mean sharing it with our competitors, with other advisors. We believe in it so much. So that's what the coaching is about.
I love that. I love that, looking into the future, what the advisor of the future looks like. Well, I have one more question, and I'm interested in this answer from you as a father of 3, and I know I can see and I can tell how much you love that. I guess plead the 5th. What lesson or lessons have you learned in being a better advisor from being a father?
That's a great question. I think the lesson I've learned, and this teases back even into the coaching. And there's another benefit of having the 2 older kids, and then the do-over a little bit with Lily. I think we're more laid back in a lot of ways, but I think the tendency I had as a younger father was to have all the answers, to have the instructions, to have the discipline. And I think as advisors, the tendency is to want to fix and give the solutions. That's really important. But again, that coaching, that confidant, that father, that husband. That's something Angie and I have been married almost 27 years, and I feel like I'm relearning this right now, is the listening and the being just a steady, faithful presence in the lives of my kids, my wife, my clients. Yes, answers and guidance when appropriate. But I think listening and asking questions and helping my kids uncover for themselves answers instead of just telling them the answers, that translates to serving clients. It translates into a lot of things. So I think that's something I'm learning, Dan.
Ben, thank you so much for being a guest here on the Shrimp Tank. For our listeners that want to get in touch with you or learn more about Highland, how can they get more information?
Yeah, you can go to our website, highlandprivate.com. You can email me directly, benw@highlandprivate.com. We love just talking to people and who are thinking about this puzzle, who are thinking about how does money connect into my life? How do I live fully? So love having those conversations and either exploring how we might be able to help or point you in the right direction.
For all of our listeners, make sure you check out the replays of our show at shrimptankpodcast.com/Seattle and wherever you get your podcast, iHeart, Google, Spotify, SoundCloud. And please follow our show's social media pages on YouTube, Facebook, and Instagram.
Well, Ben, thank you very much. It was really great having you on the show. I'm glad we finally met. I know it's not in person, but it's about, I guess, the next best thing. We'll have to get together in person. I'll make a trip over to Bothell. Maybe you'll have to come to Paulsville one time. We'll get together. And it sounds like you're a golfer, so maybe we'll get some golf in together. I look forward to that. Thanks for being on the show. Michelle, Happy New Year. I think it's the first time I've got to say Happy New Year to you. I know we're near the end of the month, but Happy New Year to you. And I'm looking forward to seeing you in about 4 weeks. Everybody, do exactly what Michelle said. Like us on our Facebook page, because that way you can live stream us. We live stream every Wednesday at 12 p.m., except for fifth Wednesdays. And next Wednesday, I'm going to be playing golf at Bandon Dunes. So we're taking a week off. It's my first trip there. Michelle, I'm sure I'll have some stories of that afterwards, but we're taking the week off. Our next show will be Wednesday, February 7th. Our guest will be Lindsay Carnett from Marketing Maven. Craig Swanson will be the co-host. In the meantime, be safe, be well, and be prosperous, because for 2 weeks from now, the shrimp is back in the tank. So long.
I've been feeling like a shark in a shrimp tank. Big fish, small pond.